Brexit has been completed for over half a year. In order to protect the EU internal market, there has been a regulatory limit in the Irish Sea since then. This causes redheads in Northern Ireland, also in a garden centre in Belfast, because the rose Ashley is not allowed to be imported. Lady Ashley is beautiful, fragrant and has a lush buoyancy, they say. At least that's what the prospectus says. No wonder the rose is extremely popular in Northern Ireland, but the lady has not been allowed to enter since Brexit. It could be contaminated with English soil. The hobby gardeners in Northern Ireland have therefore had to do without their favourite rose since the beginning of the year, says Beth Lunny. The roses are planted outdoors in England, which means that English soil could stick to their roots, and this is against EU regulations. If, on the other hand, the roses had been grown on high racks in a greenhouse as bare roots, things would be different if the fertilizer is approved in the EU. We have had to grapple with such things since Brexit, complains Beth Lunny. She no longer understands the world. She and her husband have been running a garden centre outside of Belfast for 30 years. There have never been problems with Lady Ashley, and now such a debacle. Not only the roses are affected, not even the mundane seed potatoes and flower seeds can be imported from England. The conversation is briefly interrupted during that interview of a Swiss TV station. A customer cannot decide whether to buy hydrangeas or fuchsias, and the rhododendron in her garden was infested with lice. Beth advises buying ladybirds and everything will be good. Not all problems are so easy to digest. The paperwork has become immeasurable since Brexit, says the owner of the Saintfield Nursery Centre. It used to take 2 days to import pots and plants from England. Today it would take 11 days. Occasionally she is no longer sure whether she is a gardener or a customs broker. What is happening here is unheard of, she says. Beth's great-great-grandparents are originally from Great Britain. She therefore feels deeply connected to the UK and is a staunch unionist. She suspects Boris Johnson did not read the Northern Ireland Johnson Protocol properly before signing it. I am a UK citizen, but I cannot buy roses from Scotland, Wales or England. I'm convinced that this violates my human rights, she says. Nah, it doesn't. However, some customers have long since resorted to self-help. The gardening friends have apparently set in motion a real smuggling across the Irish Sea. Relatives in England or children studying in London are instructed to bring home seed potatoes and flower seeds in their suitcase between their shirts the next time they visit. This is how the older customer in the flower dress who is in the fern department does it. They should give us back our roses from England, she says. She does not know the reasons, but she's convinced that the bureaucrats in Brussels are to blame. Yeah, if you don't know anything, it's Brussels' fault, as usual. She voted to leave the EU, but had the feeling that Brussels wanted to punish her for it, and that's so much bullshit. It's the same as with the sausages, but we want to be able to trade and shop freely in our own country. It's your own fault, says a young woman in the Cactus House. With good reasons, she voted Remain. Because if they had stayed in the EU, there would be no problems with Lady Ashley. Jerry, who buys flower pots with his wife, also has little understanding for the whining. He is a Catholic Republican and is convinced that Northern Ireland will say goodbye to Great Britain and reunite with the Republic of Ireland in the foreseeable future. We should therefore rather think about how Northern Ireland will supply itself with goods in the future and ask ourselves whether it is sustainable if we bring roses and other plants from England over the sea here, says Jerry. After all, they would have the same climate and soils in Northern Ireland. So there is nothing stopping us from growing roses ourselves in the future. Instead of complaining, we should see the Northern Ireland Protocol as an opportunity to produce more ourselves and import less. The post-traumatic Brexit rifts between the warm fern and prickly pear cacti run through the center of the garden. The trenches, however, go much deeper than the roots of Lady Ashley. It's about their own roots, about their own identity, which were called into question by Brexit and the new border in the Irish Sea. Unionists feel cut off from the rest of the UK by the new customs border. For them, the border is a threat to their British identity. The border should be built where it belongs, namely between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland, they say. The Republicans, on the other hand, see themselves through the new border construct as the secret victors of the divorce drama with the EU. The dissatisfaction in the backyard of Brexit cannot be indifferent to anyone. The Good Friday Agreement ended a civil war in Northern Ireland in 1998, and that had cost over 3,500 lives over 3 decades. It was the end of a violent confrontation between Protestants, Unionists and Loyalists on the one hand, who support the union with Great Britain, and on the other hand the Catholic Nationalists and Republicans who fight for unified Ireland. The civil war ended a good 20 years ago, but the two communities are still deeply divided socially and politically. Peace, a fragile equilibrium that was thrown off balance by Brexit. How quickly this can tip was shown in the spring when protests and violent riots broke out in Belfast. Yeah, Coleraine and Derry, I guess, and that for days. Political scientist Katie Hayward from Queen's University in Belfast told the Swiss television that a willingness to compromise is needed on all sides to keep peace in Northern Ireland. In Northern Ireland, but also in Brussels and London. The British government cannot stubbornly insist on its sovereignty and strictly reject any adoption of EU standards. I'll see you in my next video. Bis gleich.